And evening, America and Roman. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast after WWE NXT. It is I, Alfred Konuwa. Glenn, rightfully so, is protesting this. Yes, so is Roman. Okay, go ahead. You tell him, Roman. Glenn is protesting this podcast alongside Roman because of Nikita Lyons' loss, and I am joined by Issa, NYC Demon Diva. How you doing, Issa?
I'm doing good. How are you, Alfred Konuwa Saxton?
I think I'm doing good. The family is good. We're a little fired up about what happened on NXT tonight, but I'm sure we're going to get to it. It was a fine episode, a very newsworthy episode, I guess, depending on what you consider news. But I thought it was fine. And what did you think about the episode overall?
There was a couple of moments I really enjoyed. There was a couple of questionable finishes, and I'm excited to talk about it. I don't know if Glenn is protesting Nikita's loss or maybe he's hanging out with The Rock.
That's how you get rumors started, Issa. But he is very upset. For those of you, Glenn wanted me to convey to our audience tonight that he's very upset at what happened tonight. He's still trying to collect his thoughts. Glenn is a very thoughtful guy. He likes making sure that his words and his thoughts are in order before he says them. More people need to be like that. So he's just collecting his emotions and thoughts because what happened tonight, we will get into it, very much upset Glenn, and he is not able to do the podcast tonight.
Maybe he ran out of white energy.
Why you gotta do me like that?
That's how we start.
That might be the reason. That is too funny. We should end the podcast right now, Issa. I don't think we can top that. This podcast is unofficially brought to you by White Energy, but we will get into the news real quick on the news, Issa. Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to continue. Raw did about 1.6 million viewers, down 10% total in the demo, 9% overall. So not a very good number for Raw, Issa. What do you think about that?
It was a very mid episode of Monday Night Raw. Probably my least favorite since the Triple H era. So I mean, I don't think they gave us anything to stay tuned or like tune into. You know what I mean? Last week you at least had an advertised Brock Lesnar. You had a couple of things there, but I didn't feel like this week's episode of Raw was very solid. Me personally, I think the most fun part of Raw was playing bingo on my watch along. We did get a bingo last night on Monday Night Raw, so that was the fun part of Monday Night Raw for me.
I got a bingo too. I couldn't get enough of it. Your bingo actually inspired me to go back and watch parts of Raw. So this is something WWE needs to push. If you want people watching your show, like especially on Hulu, there's like this debate between WWE and Hulu right now. They're playing a game of chicken. And if you want to convince people to go back and watch the Hulu stream, you show them Issa's bingo card of what's going to happen on Raw. Because I went back and I did get a bingo and I was so happy with myself.
I'm proud of you. We didn't get a bingo tonight on NXT, though, sadly.
No, not on NXT, but on Raw last night.
No.
Very, very well done, Issa. At NYC Demon Diva. Follow her on all platforms, YouTube, Twitter, and all that. But yeah, Raw was down. It was surprising because it was up against a very uncompetitive NFL Monday Night Football game with not a lot of stars on it. But it was a decent episode of Raw. I feel like they're in the middle of building toward more storylines, which I'm completely fine with. Like, we're going to get some of these Raws that are kind of flat. What I liked is that Johnny Gargano was all over the show, and even though he did lose, they did bring up that he's 4-1 in his last 5 matches since coming back. So they're really protecting him, and it's really well done, I feel like, in terms of having a guy lose, getting another guy over at Baron Corbin, and still protecting Johnny Gargano.
Agreed. However, a lot of those matches felt very thrown together, no storyline behind them. You had a Mustafa Ali standing tall at the end of last week's Raw just to take an L last night. Like, it just felt it was a weird episode for me.
Yeah, absolutely. But we will get into another weird episode of WWE NXT, which came on tonight. And before we get into it, friend of the show, Kelvin R. Alexander, Nikita and Zoe were robbed. I actually saw money falling out of the rest. I did too. I didn't realize that until he put that there. I absolutely saw that too. I was like, this is kind of wild. But it was like the Mike Tyson, Steve Austin segment from the 90s.
Okay. Agree. We'll get into that. But I agree with you, Calvin.
Absolutely. And I put that out there so we can get right into it. It was Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. I personally, overall, in terms of a wrestling match, really like this match. They were incorporating, it was like Rock and Roll Express versus Road Warriors because like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance would do the Rock and Roll Express spots for the double drop kicks. And then Zoe and Nikita were the power, and they were slamming them. And it was really cool styles clash. So they had a pretty good match. The finish came, or at least we thought, when Kaden Carter blind tagged into the ring. Zoe Stark skinned the cat. She counters a bicycle kick from Katana Chance, who had blind tagged, and she rolled her up for the win. So Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons are your new NXT Women's World Tag Team Champions. The crowd's loving it. All of a sudden, Alicia Warrington goes on to the microphone, the NXT ring announcer, and she says, due to an unseen tag, this match should restart. So between you and me, Issa, I just thought that this is what they were going to use to have a rematch next week, and Zoe and Nikita beat them and have a strong start to their NXT title reign, right? They restart the match this night. Zoe Stark tags herself, and the match restarts. She gets vanquished. So it leaves Nikita Lyons 2-on-1. She's being chopped down like a tree. They hit an assisted 450 splash. So it's like, oh my God, they're going to let Nikita kick out of this. 1, 2, 3. Nikita Lyons loses her first match as NXT in a tag team match that was restarted after it was thought she won. And get this, they're doing a rematch next week. So either Nikita Lyons loses twice or Nikita Lyons wins where she didn't even have to lose once. Are you effing kidding me? One of the lowest moments in NXT to date. Probably the lowest moment in NXT 2.0. I was furious. I don't want to get too much into what I think. Issa, I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, before I get into the finish, I thought the match was great. I thought this was the best work that both of these teams have done. I was really enjoying the match itself. If the tag was unseen, why are we restarting the match, right?
Yeah.
Why you didn't see it, so why are you restarting the match? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Then I'm thinking, did they restart the match to have them win again? Then what is the point of that? Are they trying to protect Kaden and Katana somehow, a little bit here? But no, they just let Nikita take the pin. Somebody that's undefeated that you've been building for so long. It made absolutely no sense. And I think Kaden and Katana, they've been a tag team for a while, but they haven't really done anything. This run has been fairly insignificant. I was kind of ready for it to end tonight. And I'm tired of NXT having just no titles change hands ever. It makes the shows like, why would you watch for? Nothing is going to happen. We saw it at Halloween Havoc, no titles change hands, and it happened once again tonight. So it's just like, what's the point of continuing to watch this? I hate it. I hated everything about the finish, and it really tarnished what was a really good tag team match for the women in NXT, because I still don't think these titles need to be there. If I'm being honest with you, I still would prefer to have one set that flowed throughout all three brands like what it originally was. But if you're going to do it, this is the kind of stuff that turn people off from these titles and taking them seriously.
Absolutely. And watching this match and seeing how hard they were working and just the type of pace the match they were having, I was like, oh, they're definitely changing the title. And when they did, it seemed like a big deal. It felt like it was a good moment. Like I felt like, oh my God, Nikita's on her way. Zoe Stark's on her way. I felt like everybody felt that moment. And then as Alicia Warrington was announcing, you could hear everybody like, oh, F this. Like, what are you talking about? It wasn't one of those things where you're getting heat. It was like these people are like, dude, we just had this moment. Like they were pulling the rug from up under them. They gave them the celebration. And I just thought not only is beating Nikita Lyons dumb, the way this was done was unbelievably stupid. And the fact that they're going to have a rematch, regardless of what happens, I think is a bad idea because both of them are a negative result to where if Nikita Lyons and Zoe Starks wins, who gives a crap? Like at this point, they didn't do them right.
Yeah, nobody got over in this match. And it sucks because the match itself was very good. I actually really like Zoe and Nikita as a tag team tonight. I thought they were working together so well. And it was bullshit, Alfred. I hated it. I hated it. And again, it tarnished what was a really good, enjoyable match.
Absolutely. I think the only thing that went wrong in this match was the finish. But they worked very hard and they told a story and they did everything they had to. And I was shocked that they went to these lengths to then make a bad decision of beating Nikita Lyons. It was like watching a slow motion car wreck.
Yeah, and nobody turned on nobody. Like they did all of that for nothing. You know what I mean? Like it was for a rematch that nobody's gonna care about because of what they did tonight.
shouldn't be happening at all. Either way, it's a
Mm-hmm.
chill job. Shout out to Glenn Rubenstein. We stand with Glenn Rubenstein.
Yeah, yeah, justice for Nikita and Glenn.
Don't do anything stupid, Glenn. So
Calm
we got a
down.
babyface promo from Wes Lee. Let me tell you something about this Wes Lee, Issa. Like, he's not the most polished guy in the world. What he has that I think most people in NXT or WWE or even wrestling don't have is an authenticity that he can convey to the audience. He just had one of the best babyface promos you'll see, only because he wasn't necessarily going out having any smart lines or anything like that. He was just out there being humble. Like, I can't believe I won this either. He was saying, I don't deserve the praise that you guys give me. And they chanted, yes, you do.
Yes,
like,
you
they
do.
went crazy for him. They melted in his arms because he was just being authentic and playing the exact character of a guy who shockingly won a match that we did not expect him to win, as we said on Saturday's podcast. But he's taking it as if, like, yeah, I'm an underdog. I didn't think I was going to be here either. And these people are immediately relating to him.
Yeah, before we get into what happens next, I love this promo from Wes Lee. I've never been very big on Wes Lee, but seeing him come out there and being so relatable, so just authentic will be the word that I'm looking for that promo. I just really enjoyed him tonight, and I had my own moment of, okay, you know what? The kid does deserve this moment. He deserves this title. Good for him. I feel like he turned people around that might have not been behind him, myself being one of them. Yes. I mean, this man got yeeted by Von Wagner. We thought he was dead. I thought he was dead halfway through that match, and then he just comes back and wins it. And I love the fact that I feel like you could really tell that he feels like he doesn't deserve all of this praise when it's just like, no, you do, like, enjoy your moment too. You know what I mean? But it was a very sweet moment, and you can tell that the fans were so into it, and you could tell it meant a lot to him.
Absolutely, and I don't mean this as an insult at all. It's like, this did not come off as like an actor trying to convey sympathy. Right. Like, he legitimately felt like he was just saying this to get through a promo. Like, oh, come on, guys.
Or scripted. Like, it didn't seem scripted at all.
It didn't seem scripted at all. And he did this several times throughout. This just the way he delivers his lines or the way that they portrayed him. They're onto something with this guy. I think this is a good character. And then one of the better moments, probably the highlight of this entire show, in that we hear R-Truth's theme music, which people
first Grayson Waller
crazy. Yes, you're right. Grayson Waller came out and antagonized Wes Lee, and that brought out
I thought it was funny when he said, I climbed a ladder at the Home Depot last week. Nobody gave me anything for it.
Grayson Waller's a great heel. He had a couple of great lines in this, where R-Truth came out, and they played off each other very well, where R-Truth said, I can't wait till Halloween Havoc, and he didn't think Halloween Havoc has happened yet. And Wes Lee smartened him up, and of course he turns and he goes, "Oh, my bad. So how did you do?" He's turning to Grayson Waller, and they're interacting with one another. And R-Truth, of course, confuses it with a British accent, which draws a British accent chant. So listen, R-Truth is the best in the business when it comes to wrestling comedy, and in NXT, it was just magnified because not only were they just saying "What's up," they were literally singing word for word R-Truth's theme song in the entire way. These people were so happy to see him.
I was very happy to see him. I enjoyed the shit out of this segment, Alfred. I thought it was so much fun. I enjoyed him on Raw last night as well. And I wasn't expecting R-Truth to show up here. That was probably the last music I expected to hit, even though I got used to a main roster star showing up on NXT every week. I would tell you one thing, the last music I thought it would hit right here was R-Truth. I love the back and forth between him and Grayson Waller, and then when he asked, "Can you roll one out here, bro?" I was in literal like laughing out loud. This was great, wholesome. I loved everything about it.
Yeah, and the great thing about the main roster stars being on NXT every week, there is such a big like bucket of stars that they can use that would get a huge pop. Not only just because they're WWE stars, but some people who were NXT stars who weren't big stars on the main roster will also get a huge pop in NXT, like a Robert Roode, you know, and anybody could get a big pop like that on the NXT roster and come off as a big star. And I think that should be a weekly highlight and something we should look forward to is which main star they roll out there.
Yeah, and shout out to Alicia in the chat who says it's so good to see R-Truth away from the 24/7 stuff. Agreed, because he was so going after that title that we forgot how funny he is, or these segments where he just was coming out for the wrong thing. I always loved that R-Truth. It always popped me every single time he did it. I love seeing R-Truth like break people out of their characters, and it's just good to see old R-Truth back.
Yes, and they're teasing something with him and Shelton going after the tag team titles. Go watch Shelton's promo from WWE Main Event of all shows. It's amazing. It's going viral, and I like the idea of him and R-Truth going after a tag team title.
Well, when I interviewed Bobby Lashley, he told me that he hasn't won the tag team titles yet, and if he had to pick someone to win them with, it would be R-Truth, and that is a pairing that I didn't know I needed, but I would like to see it.
100%. I'm right there with you. So this is a good promo, and of course, a babyface run off the heel. Grayson Waller. Looks like we're going to get Waller versus Truth down the road. Apollo Crews, the Black Fiend, calls out Braun Breaker. So it looks like we're going to get Braun
Black
Breaker.
Black Undertaker.
Yeah,
Apollo
the Black Undertaker. Yeah, we're going to have to come up with fun for that. But yes, he's doing the Undertaker now, but he's calling out Braun Breaker. That'll be interesting. You told me on paper, and I believe we literally asked for this by names, that we'd love to see Apollo Crews and Braun Breaker. I can't wait for the match. But if you're going to tell me that this Apollo Crews against Braun Breaker, like, it's good that Braun Breaker has something to work with. But once again, I feel like we're going to get a lot of supernatural stuff with Braun Breaker, which I don't think he does too well with. I wish he would just face another athlete that was over, like Apollo Crews, and be able to have a great match.
Apollo Crews has like superpower, like supernatural powers now. So I'm curious about it.
I can't wait. We'll see. Hopefully they have a great feud with
I'm excited. I need Apollo Crews to be utilized differently. I don't like what they did with him in that casket match. I wish he would have just won it fair and square without the shenanigans, but we'll see where he goes from here. But him and Braun Breaker is going to be an interesting feud.
They were on the right path with Apollo Crews as like a Luke Cage type, which I like the badass promos where he can kind of see into the future and the past, but it wasn't like an aggressive superpower he had. It was just like, oh, maybe this guy can see the past. And they played it off straight. So I thought it worked. And now they're completely going over the top where like he's the Undertaker now.
I mean, you never know.
I just don't understand this. And I don't think he's going to win the world championship doing this. We'll get into who will win that world championship in just a little bit. But before that, we had Shotzi against Lash Legend. It was a match, and Shotzi, who was accompanied by Quincy Elliott, she beat Lash Legend with a modified DDT that was called the Never Wake Up. So it seemed that this was getting that finish over Issa.
Yeah, I should have put on my bingo card Lash Legend loses a match because that would have been a guaranteed spot. I wish they did a little bit more with her, but at this point, she's just the certified jobber of the NXT women's division, and it sucks because I thought she had potential. Like, maybe put her back into like hosting a show for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 100%. If they aren't ready to roll her out as a main roster wrestler or an NXT wrestler, I would absolutely love to see weeks of lashing out with Lash Legend. I thought that was very fun.
Yeah, but this match was kind of there. There wasn't anything special about it.
I felt like this whole match was designed to set up that finish so that we could know that Shotzi Blackheart's new finisher is the Never Wake Up. So shout out to Kelvin. Kevin also says Daryl Sharma is on the take. God damn it. So shout out to Daryl Sharma. And then Bear Hudson with some dating advice. The person who I'm dating is currently having problems with her ex and wanted to know if she could pay or stay a couple of nights at my place. Let her stay or no. Issa, I'm going to let you take this. So
let her stay. Let her stay. Yeah,
I think out of the goodness of your heart, yes. If you have not been burned by this in the past, I think you should open up your heart and it'll make you trust people more. You should let her stay.
No. Don't let her stay just so you can trust her or anything like that. Let her stay to get some and that's it. Like, don't go too deep. Like, she's already having ex issues. You don't want to get involved, but don't cock block yourself either.
There's something to be gained from anybody or everybody in this situation as the lesson of this. So, because I completely agree with Issa, but you also, in the long run, it'll help you trust people. If nothing else happens, then you had a good night. So I say let her stay. And guess what? Go on DoorDash. Applebee's delivers until 2 a.m. Delicious.
Wait, now you want him to buy her food? Dude, he's already given the plate. She better be buying the DoorDash.
It could be dessert. He could eat some pie or something like that. You know? Alex Diaz 1990. If CM Punk returns to WWE, give me your top 3 feuds back. Issa, I'll let you start with that one.
Roman Reigns, he loses.
Okay,
yeah, Roman Reigns, he loses. AJ Styles, he loses. And Seth Rollins, he loses.
Not a bad 3. This Seth Rollins, he's got everything except this character. Like, The characters, everything about Seth Rollins is over right now. The people love him. But this laugh that he does, and like, if he could just be actual Seth Rollins, like no character, no over-the-top anything, this guy would be one of the most, if not the most over guy in wrestling. I think the only thing holding him back is this pretend character he's playing, but these people love Seth Rollins. He's going to be a babyface.
How can you not love Seth Rollins? Last night he came out looking like a villain in a Telemundo novela. It was great.
He looked like the Riddler and Pretty Deadly got together and had an extreme makeover. But it just looked, he's wearing his unique outfits. And the people love this guy. I mean, I think they should turn to babyface soon. So those are our super chats, ladies and gentlemen. And we get more into the WWE NXT show with, ladies and gentlemen, we go backstage. No. Before that, we have the Creeds come out. And Brutus Creed is wearing
This was so stupid.
Yeah. Brutus Ball t-shirt. He wants 5 minutes with Damon Kemp. Damon Kemp comes on screen and basically goes, nah, homie, I'm good. And so Veer and Sangha wearing matching man buns come in and attack the Creed. So that's our new feud.
Yeah, but they advertised a 5-minute match. And then they were like, yeah, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
What was the point in this? Why not have them come out, cut their promos, and then have Kemp say, I'm injured, but I'm still going to get you? Like, I don't know. I felt like the whole thing was false advertisement. However, yeah, I guess that's a thing that's going to happen now.
Literally, they advertised as if it was a stipulation that it would be a 5-minute match.
A 5-minute time limit match.
Yeah. And Brutus cut the promo on Damon Kemp, like a fiery promo. And it's like, no, I'm not coming out there.
I'm still not clear, buddy. And I'm like, okay, so why did we do this? And there was a couple of things that felt like filler tonight, and this was one of them.
It was a choice. So after that, they attacked the Toxic Attraction 3-way. They're going to be doing a 1-year anniversary for next week. So
was this a Zoom call? Was it Skype? Was it a FaceTime? What was this?
It was a 3-way on Skype, I believe.
One of them was at the gym, the other one was at the pool, and Mandy was in her car. She got mad that they didn't invite her, and then she was like, don't you have a photo shoot? And she was like, yeah. I'm going to give you guys some advice. Regardless of whether, your friends have something going on or not, invite them just so they feel included. Let them be the one that says, oh, I can't make it because I have a photo shoot. Don't assume, because then it looks bad on your friendship.
Yeah, 100%. And it's going to be pretty fun to see this 1-year anniversary. And I feel like that's a sign that it might be coming to an end. But we'll see. We get into Nofe and Blade versus Pretty Deadly. Let me tell you something. Pretty Deadly, it was a match where it's just like they're obviously going to win. And Nofe and Blade aren't ready yet, I didn't think.
Oh, my God. They look so good, though.
Yeah. And I was not interested in terms of this match. The story they were telling, it just too little time, very basic story. But they came out the gates and made it look like they were going to beat him immediately. And it was a very excellent match in terms of the baby faces looking like they were going to spring the upsets. And a lot of this is due to Pretty Deadly doing a great job. There was a false finish late in the match where it looked like a No Fate was going to roll up. I believe it was Elton Prince. And at the last second, Elton Prince kicked out, and the entire crowd, you could see people upset that they didn't get to celebrate this great moment. So they had a banger of a match. One of the highlight spots was a No Fate diving over the corner. When I tell you this man flew, he almost literally stayed in the air for seconds before landing. They did it in slow motion, and it took forever for him to land. This match is incredible, and Pretty Deadly did a great job, quote unquote, carrying Inofi and Blade, but they also carried their weight. I thought this was an excellent tag team match in terms of a championship that I didn't think was going to change hands, that I was very invested in.
I love this match. I love Pretty Deadly. You know who I was rooting for regardless, but I feel like they really it was like, I'm sorry, I keep on forgetting the other team's name.
Kit Wilson, I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah. So I think it was their coming out party at this point. I thought they shined in this match. I really, really enjoyed all of the spots. There was at least 3 finishes where I thought we had new tag team champions, and I would have been shocked because I personally thought that Pretty Deadly was going to win. I went into this completely uninvested, but overall, I thought this was fun. I enjoyed it. I want to keep Pretty Deadly as our tag team champions forever. And since you're not here yet, I'm going to talk about Pretty Deadly's fit. While I gave him the best dress of the night, I do have to say that the lace top that they had, the little crop top, does not go with the striped pants. It bothered me a little bit because you had a little bit of too many patterns going on, right? Like you had the lace on the top, and then you have like the stripes, and the stripes are kind of metallic. Like I did think there was a little bit too much going on in their outfits, but overall, it was a great, excellent tag team match. I don't know where Alfred went, by the way. I think he's protesting with Alfred. Okay, he's back.
No, I'm not
Did you
protesting.
hear what I said about the fit?
The fit was amazing. I did not.
Yeah, but you
the tail.
too many patterns going on. Like the stripes were like metallic, and then you had the.
Really?
I wouldn't wear metallic stripe pants with lace on top. Like I feel like that's too much.
You didn't like the lime green fit though.
I did. I like the top. I just didn't think they go with the. I like the tops and I like the bottoms. I just didn't think they both went together.
It was a little dark, a little browner on the bottom. Yeah, it wasn't their best fit. I didn't think, but I'll have to go back and
still fit of the night, but not their best.
Exactly. We get Zoe and Nikita. They're backstage. I like the fact that they're upset that they lost, and we get to hear from them. And Zoe's pissed, and this is where we find out that they're doing the rematch, which I want no part of this rematch. Either result would just make me furious in terms of why are you doing.
What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to let Nikita and Zoe win?
Why not? And if they do, it's such a waste. Like, why did you beat Nikita Lyons just so you can see how she reacts to doing a job? Is it a political thing? Like, why would you beat Nikita Lyons in this spot in terms of this close to probably dethroning Mandy Rose? We've been talking about it for a couple of days on this podcast.
Yeah.
In terms of Nikita Lyons chasing Mandy Rose is the money storyline in NXT. And they're just not going to be able to get the most out of that now.
But if something goes wrong, do you see Nikita or Zoe turning on Nikita?
They did tease that to where Nikita was apologizing. And when Zoe got mad, I thought she was going to turn heel. She got furious in terms of pounding the locker, like, oh, I can't believe that but she was blaming the referee for missing the blind tag. So there's an aggression.
Which she's right to blame the referee, but I can see her, if they lose, getting frustrated if it appears to be Nikita's fault again. And maybe we have Zoe turn.
Yeah.
And give Nikita maybe a one-on-one feud with Zoe before she moves on to something else.
I could absolutely see that. But I guess everybody has to do jobs in NXT. They had their Jade Cargill with 2 C's in NXT, and they screwed it all up. But hopefully she wins the title and nobody remembers the fact that she lost. We get Joe Gacy with the reveal, ladies and gentlemen.
I have so many thoughts.
Everybody looking forward to this. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint, at least if you're Joe Gacy. We see these 3 people, every Joe Gacy promo ever. It's just so overblown. You're just waiting for them to get to the point. I just want to see who is in the mask, but everybody has to cut a promo. We see this mask figure and quads like, whoa, okay? Everybody chanting, take it off. They want to know who it is. She takes her mask off, and it's Ava Raine. For those of you who don't know, The Rock's daughter, Simone Johnson, is a member of Joe Gacy's schism. And let me tell you, it's the greatest day in Joe Gacy's career because they're not about to play with The Rock's daughter this close to WrestleMania. Inside of 3 months, by March, mind you, I expect Joe Gacy to be NXT champion. I expect the Dyads to be tag team champions.
You need to chill.
And maybe Ava Raine gets that NXT Women's Championship just to make sure we get that Rock versus Roman Reigns match in WrestleMania. But Joe Gacy's newest member is Ava Raine. Don't expect her to be doing too many jobs or expect the stable to not be a big deal in NXT every week. What did you think about this whole thing, Issa?
You need to calm down. First of all, it was boring until the reveal. Like they were all talking, absolutely. And I'm like, do they all need to talk? No, just get to the reveal, right? I have been waiting. I know she's been performing on live shows, so we knew this was coming. I have been waiting for this debut, but why did you have to put her with my least favorite thing in NXT right now? I don't know if she elevates them or not. I have an issue. Everything that Joe Gacy has been involved in, he's brought down. He brought down Braun Breaker. He brought down Cameron Grimes. It doesn't matter what he does. He's literally brought them down. So debuting her with him just gives me... Oh, I'm so frustrated because I really want to know what she can do. I want to see her perform. This girl wants to do this, and that's commendable. Like, there's money to like crazy in that family. She could have gone on to do whatever she wanted with her life, and this is what she has chosen to do. But with Joe Gacy, really? I'm hoping that this like ends up like breaking up soon. And the part that really bothered me the worst is that she kind of looked like she belonged in the group.
She did. She's got the septum piercing.
I was like, why does she look like she belongs with them? Like, I need to see where this goes for her. But Joe Gacy,
Listen, I don't need to see where this goes.
They need to step up. They need to step up their game because they haven't been doing anything interesting up until this point. Up until this reveal, nothing that he's done has been good, and you know it, Alfred.
You're right. I agree with everything you just said. Not to us. I don't need to see where this goes. I know exactly where this is going. Inglewood, California, in April at WrestleMania next year. That's where this is going. Because let me tell you something. Wrestling is a political business. The great irony in this entire situation, nobody was more generous as a top star than The Rock. He was doing jobs as the Hurricane. The Rock was you're never going to hear a story about, oh, The Rock backstabbed me and did the job got over me or whatever. You're never going to hear stories like that about The Rock because he was willing to do the job.
No, The Rock is a freaking saint. We all know it. He was a
saint. He probably instilled that in his daughter where he said, listen, if they ask you to do a job, do the job. You'll get over on your own accord. He probably instilled that in his daughter. So he probably doesn't have a problem if Ava Raine and the stable got buried and went left. WWE, though, knows better. That's run by Triple H and Shawn Michaels, two of the most cynical wins or loss matters people in the universe. So they're going to make sure that politically from them, probably projecting, that they're going to make sure that they push this woman in her stable as much as possible to keep things nice and peachy with The Rock so nothing political happens. Trust me, that is top of line for Shawn Michaels and Triple H in this era of WWE.
I agree with you. Why put her in this group?
I have no idea why they decided this group.
Maybe why put her in this group? I just she could have just shown up at Mandy Rose's door, knock on the door, take the title, and be like, I'm the new women's champion. Everybody would have been like, okay, you can get whatever you want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that we'll see her in a match anytime soon. I think they're going to continue with the promos where she might just turn, like, okay, if you really think about it, and I'm like, this is wishful thinking here, but Rio Ripley is doing the best work of his career, and she had one match in like 150 days. Yeah. So her being added as the female power of this shitty stable might really do something for her where we might not even see her in the ring for a while. The problem is I'm not worried about her. I'm worried about the team that she has around them, and can they step it up to make whatever the schism like interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think they're gonna have a lot of eyes on them now. People know who she is. She's the Pebble. We're all gonna watch, but are they going to stay interesting? Are they going to break them up? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right that they're going to be more interesting as a group because if anything, they needed something. It was going to be an Ava Raine or some storyline that can get us talking about anything other than how terrible these promos are. But people are going to be paying attention now. It's just something that everybody's going to be looking at this with a razor vision. This is going to get NXT mainstream attention. You know, Entertainment Tonight is going to be running with The Rock's daughter debuted. Like, this is going to be good for NXT, and it's going to be good for Joe Gacy in that stable. Maybe not for us because we still aren't interested in it, but in terms of attention, in terms of being pushed, I think this is a great situation for Joe Gacy.
Yeah, it's a blessing, and I think she's going to do good. I'm glad she debuted as a heel. I think that's the right move here. And like I said, she did look like she belonged with the group. And for shocking swerve factor, 10 out of 10. That was the last person I was expecting to show up under that hood. Honestly, I was looking at the entire NXT women's roster, like who could it be? Never in a million years did that name like even came to my mind, honestly. And I know I've been expecting her debut for a while since I saw on social media people posting pictures of her at these live shows that NXT's been doing around Florida. I'm like, oh, she's gonna show up soon. But I will tell you right now, never in a million years did I expect it to be her. So swerve and shock factor, 13 out of 10, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get into a Performance Center phone call sketch. I wonder where they got that idea. By the way, YouTube at Pro Wrestling Bits. There's multiple phone call parody segments on there that are doing very well.
Oh my God, your YouTube channel has been so on point recently. Like, cheers to that.
Thank you so much. Performance Center phone call segment from the NXT writers there as somebody says, watch as I come and leave my mark as I plan to rip all of NXT apart. Sincerely, Scripps. with a Y.
Yeah, we all know that was Glenn after Nikita Lyons lost.
That's my pick. That's my pick. Glenn has gone postal and he's leaving these phone calls. He did tell us before he left. He said, "I have a phone call to make." He did say that.
Yes, he did. Do you think it could be T-Bar? Because we've seen the burning mask of the former T-Bar. Like, maybe, do you think he'll be attached to this, or do you think this is going to be a different person?
I think it is going to be T-Bar. It's the first thing that came to my mind, only because of Retribution, and it made me think of that. And I was like, oh, that's right. They're bringing back T-Bar. So I think this is part of it. And I like this. I've been in a kind of a kick with the territories lately, where they're doing this Tales of the Territories on Vice. So I've been watching, like, going back and watching these shows that they reference. And NXT is kind of reminding me of that territory these days, where they always have somebody new coming in. And we kind of complain about that, oh, they're throwing all this stuff against the wall. That's exactly how the territories were. It's like, if it wasn't a wrestling match, they were teasing somebody coming somewhere. And by the end of the show, you have like 13 teases that you have to look forward to next week.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope we see Dijakovic come back, and maybe this is him. Maybe this is just a normal phone call that they get at the Performance Center on the daily. You know, they probably have a bunch of crazy wrestling fans calling there every day. They probably just literally use a regular call for this.
That should be the buildup to this, is that it's not only him, it's the crazy people who also call the Performance Center, and we get a different crazy. Because didn't they arrest somebody for jumping over a roof of the Performance Center? And there was a big controversy.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people. There was like a stalker that tried to break in, the guy that like shot it up. Like, there's been a lot of incidents there. Yeah. There's somebody that took a crap outside the Performance Center.
Yes, yeah. Some awesome things. The Performance Center outside might be more dangerous than the NXT parking lot.
I mean, technically speaking, it's the same place now.
Yeah, not the same phone line, though. So if you call the Performance Center, that's how you get dangerous.
Please don't call the Performance Center.
They should leave the number so that people are inspired to do this, so they can have some material to work with. So they don't just steal mine. So we had Indy Hartwell versus Sol Ruca. I'm just kidding, everybody. Indy Hartwell versus Sol Ruca. And Indy Hartwell surprisingly wins almost immediately. Another match where they just kind of... beat her just right away, got over her finish. Elektra Lopez returns to NXT, and apparently they left her out of the car in Legado del Fantasma, but she's back, and she got to lay out both women, and La Madrina is back.
La Madrina is back. I felt very happy to see her back. Loved Indy's gear. She had Ghostface on it. I don't know if you saw that, but it was I popped for it.
We'll get into those 90s gears.
Yeah, you know it. I popped for Indy winning, but I felt back for Sol, like all this new, talent, like just losing. It's like, how are you supposed to be invested in them? But nothing made me happier than seeing Elektra come back. I didn't I love having Selena back, and I think she makes sense with Legado. But the fact that we didn't know what was going to happen with Elektra was a little like, it kept kind of triggering me a little bit. So seeing that Elektra might be getting a push on NXT, that's a good thing for her. She looked like $1 million. The boots on point, by the way. Yeah. Super happy to see her back. So we'll see what she does in NXT, and I'm excited for her.
Dressed in all black, looking good, and she's back in NXT, and we get to chase.
But it had animal print. It was black, but it had animal print.
Yes, it did. She's slayed.
Yeah, she is.
We got into Chase U. Bodhi is nowhere to be found, so Duke is sitting in his seat. And we get a Survivor Series trivia lesson. I know these are like meant to kind of be comedy or whatever. They've stumbled upon something where I'm legitimately paying attention to what Professor Chase is saying about these wrestling trivia. This is amazing, this Chase U thing.
They need to sell these courses, like even if they're online courses. Like, I will sign up.
Because he was like getting into like the statistics and the trivia, and I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff. And
did you pop for Duke Hudson saying, "I don't need a pen, I can memorize it"? We all had that one person in our class. Like, shut up.
Our class, or our waiter, who just tries to memorize the order and gets it wrong every time. But Duke
every
Hudson,
single time.
Yes. Right after Duke Hudson said that he was going to memorize his lines, he and I would like to repeat this because most of the wrestling media won't be able to notice to say this. Duke Hudson stole a black woman's pen, and I would like to press charges on behalf of the NAACP. He stole it from right under her nose. We all saw it.
I saw it.
Duke Hudson not doing the greatest job of protecting black women, but he stole a woman's pen. And so we're teasing this thing. It's kind of a love triangle between Duke Hudson and Thea Hale and Bodhi. And personally, I don't know who Duke Hudson is into more.
Same. Oh.
Roman thirds that. Roman is a big fan of the LGBTQ community. we have Odyssey Jones comes back. You were talking about Ghostface, Issa. He comes back wearing a white, crisp Death Row Records tee, and he's recruiting Anofe and Idris after they lost. Tough loss. But Anofe and Blade, rather, get into a truck full of pros. It was like the end of Dumb and Dumber, but if they actually got onto the bus. And we are getting possibly a stable between Odyssey Jones, Idris, and Blade.
Yeah, R.I.P. Death Row Records. But yeah, this was. I mean, they weren't too bothered by their loss, right? They were ready to party. Honestly, same.
Got over it immediately, and they're just out there in the black truck. Good to see Odyssey Jones. They didn't mention his name at all. I had to go back and look because I dressed like him for Halloween, and I knew the last name was Jones, but I had to go back and look because they didn't say his name. Odyssey Jones, great to see him back. He's been gone for a while now, so very interesting to see what they do with these three guys.
It took me a while to recognize who he was, honestly.
Yeah. We get Dragunov and McDonough in the main event. Listen, I was not looking forward to this. It was not something that, based on this show and the fallout from NXT Halloween Havoc, that was top of mind.
Forward to it. They killed that at the main event.
Yes, but they had a great match, as you imagine they would. The story of this match was Dragunov possibly dealing with some type of injury and gutting through it. He went to break with the doctors checking on him and teasing the match would be stopped. They came back, and McDonough is just beating the crap out of Dragunov, who's bleeding from the mouth. McDonough eventually wins with a rear naked choke. And Booker T, it's so funny because WWE, I know for a fact, has an edict that, like, you don't talk about the referees unless they're part of a storyline. And Booker T is just burying this referee in terms of, like, he should have stopped this match, man. What's that referee doing, man? And Vic Joseph is doing his best to just kind of narrate and not talk about the referee. And Booker T is burying this referee 6 feet deep in terms of not stopping this match. But that's kind of the story in terms of JD McDonough beating up Dragunov so bad that he was bleeding and Dragunov losing the match after trying to gut it out. What did you think about this main event?
I like this main event a lot. I didn't like the result. I didn't like Dragunov losing here, but I didn't think he looked weak. Obviously, they made him pass out. He looked like $1 million. He was selling this injury. The match should have been stopped. Booker T kept pushing that. So you're sitting here watching the match thinking, yeah, why haven't they stopped the match? You know? But I first of all, as soon as they announced the match, my first thought was like, wow, they're wrestling again after the beating they all took on Halloween Havoc, and Braun Breaker gets the day off. Good for him. Anyways, I like the match. I think this guy's coming from NXT UK. I mentioned it before. I wasn't a watcher of NXT UK, and a lot of times you're missing the good wrestling that was going on there. And wrestling in ring wise, the talent that came from NXT UK has really improved NXT 2.0 or NXT Black and Gold or NXT White and Gold. I don't know which era NXT we're on, but you get my point. Everybody that they brought from the UK has really made sure that every week we have like banger after banger. Anyway, sorry. But I really liked it. I hate JD McDonald's. That's what I call him on my channel. He's so creepy. Like, the camera just pans to him and I already don't like him. Like, there's just something about him. Good for him. Like, I don't know if it's a character thing or maybe, I don't know. He gives me like serial killer vibes. Anyways, I didn't like him winning here. I was rooting for Dragunov on Saturday. I was rooting for him again today. And I don't know. Outside of that, excellent match. And really, really commendable for both of them to be wrestling after that hard-hitting main event they had at Halloween Havoc.
Yes, great main event, great storytelling. Everything about this was perfect. I wish the characters were more over and they were able to make us emotionally invest in them more. But I just loved this match, and technically it was wonderful. It was a really great match that they did here, and I hope they keep following up with Dragunov in terms of if this is a long-term type injury, the angle that they're doing. But I hope they just keep following up on this.
His in-ring and the way he kept selling that injury, he never forgot after he hit any kind of like move that he hit on JD, he would like grab his side. Like I really appreciated that, because you see it on so many wrestling matches where somebody tries to sell you an injury and then next thing you know they're okay and they don't remember it for another 10 minutes. That wasn't the case with Dragunov here. Every single thing that he did, you could tell he was hurting. And listen, props to both of them. The finish, if you're going to have Dragunov lose, this is the way to do it. But I see Dragunov as the guy that beat Gunther. So when I look at him that way, it's like he shouldn't be losing to JD on an episode of NXT, because that's how I still remember him. That's when he made an impact on me, when I was like, this guy can beat Gunther. He can beat anybody. So why couldn't he put away JD? Okay, he was injured. I'll try to buy it. We'll see what they do with him in the future. But great match. A lot of really good wrestling on NXT tonight.
Yeah, a very good
and a lot of questionable finishes.
Yeah, it could have been a great show. Looking how great the main event was, it could have been a great show if they had the right finish up top. Very similar to what we saw at NXT Halloween Havoc, where the first and the last matches were the two best. But a good show. I thought that was a great follow-up, and I think this is going to be a very good rating for NXT. I think they're going to be up big, considering not as much competition and more of a fallout and more of a reason to watch. I think this is going to be a good number for NXT. And for Issa, Alfred, and Glenn, whom we stand with Glenn. This has been the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Follow Issa at NYC Demon Diva with a 1. Follow me at This Is Nasty at YouTube, Pro Wrestling Bits. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be back tomorrow for the AEW Dynamite podcast. Good night, everybody.